Oh, well, I wasn't going to do a video of this subject at all. I was going to ignore this and just, let it go by because there's nothing I can do about it. The people themselves don't seem to care. So, go on to something that maybe someone cares about. It's pretty warm out today. It's hot, muggy, overcast, fog that is, and very unlike September weather. It's more like, like if you're in a jungle, I guess. Anyway, this subject really pisses me off. It's about the ISIS issue. Of course, we're having lots of mosquitoes here in Studio 7. ISIS now has another new name. It's ISIL, ISIL, or something. Just take a deep breath, understand that that's pure newspeak, and so let's talk about this beheading nonsense. It just pissed me off because I was watching it and I was watching the people around YouTube getting into this ISIS thing and how they're so evil and this and that. And I agree with them that, of course, any group that's going to go and kill journalists has to be a bad group. Of course, we have to remember that the U.S. killed many, many journalists in Iraq. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Bloody. Must have been on somebody. At least we got rid of that mosquito. So anyway, the U.S. of hypocrisy is speaking once again. They're saying there was another beheading and that we now have to invade. So what does Obama do? He puts in an additional group of troops to add to the ones that are already there, which are 820 troops guarding the U.S. Embassy in Iraq, the biggest embassy in the world. So anyway, as if this wasn't all planned to begin with. That's why there's such a big embassy. See how it works? Very well. There's a military base there. And you can bring in thousands of troops and stage them there, right there in the country. Oh. And, we're going to have to move. It's too mosquito-y around here. Well, to heck with it. It's too much work to move. I can't get another studio. So, anyway, so there's a beheading. I disagree with the beheading on camera because I don't think it's possible. I've never tried it or done it or anything like that before, but when I was a child, I used to eat meat, not as a choice. I found out as a child that you couldn't cut through bone, no matter how hard you tried. Even a little bone like a chicken bone or a turkey bone, you couldn't get a knife through it. Yet this guy has this journalist standing at attention in front of him, not struggling, not doing anything, just standing there, and lets him cut his head off. And his head just pops right off like butter. There's a bone that runs called the vertebrae that runs all the way up into the skull. You can't cut through your head. You can't. That's why they invented the guillotine, because you have to cut through bone. You can't just go up to somebody, say if that person was right here in front of me, take a knife to his throat, right, and cut like this, and not expect the knife to go into your own throat. It would take so much pressure to cut a person's head off like that. It just isn't possible. And then they just show a little tiny knife, about this long. Said, all right, okay. But the propaganda has gotten out there and is working. The people here in the U.S., 70% now want to go to war with either Iraq or Syria or both. And they're all for sending more troops there. The propaganda works. However, these same people thought nothing of what happened over the week of where the U.S. went and bombed Somalia, killing unknown amounts of people. They didn't say. They won't tell us how many people died or who died anymore. So they could have bombed a wedding party in Somalia and nothing is said here. None of the same people who are all upset over ISIS have no care in the world about what we're doing, what our bombs are doing, how many heads flew off from our bombs beheaded in Somalia, who I didn't know that we were at war with. I didn't know there was a declaration of war with Somalia. But yet we just take a drone over there and bombs away and nothing is said. The U.S. of hypocrisy. That's what's so pissy. That's what irks me so much, is that we have no problem beheading other people But when somebody beheads somebody from the U.S., it is all over. Back to war. Another 14, 15 years of war for the military-industrial complex. And if you don't believe this, let's go to the board and let me show you. The amount of money that the military-industrial complex is spending on these little skirmishes and wars all over the planet is staggering. This is what I mean. So the military spending in 2013, the U.S. spent $640 billion just on the military aspect. That's not the CIA, the informational networks, the spy agencies, or any of that, or the mercenary spending on contractors, I guess they call them now. More newspeak. So the U.S. is spending this much. The next country that's spending money is China, with $188 billion for 2013. Russia at $87 billion 2013. Saudi Arabia comes in at fourth at $67 billion. France comes in fifth at $61 billion. So the whole reason I bring this up is because of the amount of money that the U.S. is spending on the military-industrial complex. And I'm not just talking about the military. I'm also talking about the banks, which are getting around $78 billion a month in subsidies, or as they call it, QE, or quantitative easing. It's really just staggering the amount of money that this U.S. military-industrial complex is spending of our money, and yet we don't seem to care a bit, do we? Right down below in the description you'll see another link to another video on this very subject. So it's just not my own opinion. You have more than one opinion to go by here. Alright, this subject really boils my blood, and I know that a lot of people are behind Obama on this and that they think that this is legit. You forget who made ISIS. ISIS was born by the U.S. giving weapons to groups to fight Saddam. That's how ISIS became. We, the U.S. and also the U.K., brought all this trouble up on ourselves. We armed this group, the group turned against us, and now we're having to fight this group. You see, and the military-industrial complex is so happy with this, because each time we go to war with a country, it's 14, 15, 16 years of fighting. Billions and billions of trillions of dollars go to the military-industrial complex. Damn mosquitoes. Alright guys, well, thank you for your ups and your downs and your comments. They're really good. I noticed a comment, they show up sometimes weeks after I put a video on. I saw one way back where someone asked me to watch something, and you know, and it was so outdated I couldn't answer the person. But if I don't answer, it's because I don't see your comments. They just don't show up. YouTube is just an out of control entity, if you ask me. Anyway, so until next time.